The biggest lesson in my life is to have faith when things around you seem like they're falling apart. That's been my biggest lesson in my career and in my life. To have faith.
You're listening to the New York
Said podcast.
Fear not, my friends. This will be my greatest performance.
Give it to me.
Here we go. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's me at JBS.
Oh yes, the soulful spot, the vinyl. Yeah. That
That's my joint. That's my spot.
does he have a name?
Yeah.
It was in walking distance, and I just typed in vinyl.
Kobayashi.
Kobayashi.
Oh yeah.
I just typed in
Really?
yeah, and I couldn't find it, and so I was like, this graffiti staircase looks like this might be the place.
So it's funny. You were lucky there because
Yeah.
he's not always open.
No?
No. He doesn't say when he's open.
He opens when he wants to.
Oh my God, he is a character.
Oh yeah.
He is a character. One of the guys, there's a guy from Amsterdam, and he goes, so are all these your records? Like, how many records is there? And Kobayashi goes, I don't want to answer any stupid questions. And I was like, this is the place. This is where I want to be. And then he just like went into this whole Queen set. And then I'm like rapping all the songs. Then he started playing Kenny Burke.
Yeah.
And I was like,
He plays it all.
my mind was blown. Like, I was like,
I've taken people there who are like music aficionados, like write, everything. He blows them away.
yeah, he was playing Tragedy Gaddafi B-sides.
He plays stuff that people haven't heard before. He'll give you a music lesson. You go in there, you get a music lesson.
Yes.
It's incredible.
And I feel like he's spinning and you have the privilege to be there.
Yeah, it's like you're in his living room.
That's what it felt like. And
in
like,
his living room.
he'll serve you a beer. He'll serve you, you got to pay up front, like immediately. He's like, give me my bread.
Exactly.
Like, give me some Jameson. But after that, it's just like, chill out, listen, enjoy, but don't ask any stupid questions.
No, don't ask him to play anything,
No.
None of that.
Just let him be.
Let it be, come in there and enjoy the music.
And that's exactly how I would want to be when I get to that point where I'm just like, just let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're welcome, that kind of thing. So
Nah, he's great, man. He's great. I love that guy. I've been going there for a minute. It's funny because I was going to go the other night. I said, oh, no, I'll go later on. And on to another spot, because there's a few. There's a lot of them around. But that's my favorite one.
I got lucky.
Hands down, that's my favorite. You got very lucky.
I got very lucky. Like and again, I couldn't find it. Like I was walking up the block like this. And then I saw the staircase and I saw a stick, I saw a droid.
You just happened in there?
Yeah, he was in there.
That's just...
I saw a graffiti artist from New York that had Snowman was there. He's out of New York.
Yeah.
It's a living. He's out of Brooklyn.
Everybody knows about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, if these guys did, then it's got to be somewhere here. Then I saw a droid and I was like, okay. So I opened up the door and he was just in there. He didn't really say much. And I said, can I get a beer? And he's like, let's go. And then he just started spinning stuff. So can you tell us where we are and who you are? And again, thank you for taking the time out. Because I just said, let me take a shot in the dark. And this may or may not hit, but if it doesn't, I'll go get some pizza or something. I don't know.
I'm Matthew Jordan Smith. I'm a photographer. We are in Shibuya. We're in Tokyo, Japan.
That's fantastic.
And this is the joint, man. This is the spot.
Just like many people I had this dream of one day I want to go to Japan. And then I figured if I go to Shibuya, the train station is right there and I can zip anywhere I need to at that point and it'll be a little bit easier. But I wanted to be around the art and the creativity. Can you talk about what is it like out here?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Shibuya is just like the tip of the iceberg. A lot of young people hang out here. It's known as being the spot where people come get together, hang out all night long to a certain degree. It's not like New York where it's open all night long.
Right. But I'm at the age I get my feel around 11 o'clock. I was at a cigar bar in Ginza yesterday and they was 11 o'clock and I was like, perfect. I'm done too.
I feel you, man. I'm there also. I'm trying to get my sleep and get up early and go to the gym every morning.
Yeah.
That's my routine now.
Can you talk to me about your early days of just getting into creativity, or was photography immediately? What did you do to get to photography, or was it something that you grew up with?
I definitely grew up with it. My father turned me on to photography, and at the time, it was just like a hobby. And then as I grew older, like I think when I was like a senior in high school, I found out I could make a living as a photographer. And that's when it switched. Went to art school in Atlanta. I'm from Brooklyn, New York originally, but grew up in South Carolina.
Okay.
And then after high school, went to art school in Atlanta. And then from there, went back to New York, and New York was where everything started for me.
Sometimes when I'm talking to young people, living a life as a creative, for one of the main things is like the pivot. Like with my OG, she used to say like, you got to know when to leave the party. So like,
that's very true.
Yeah, she's
and right on point today, because as you are creative, it doesn't stay the same way your whole life or career. It's going to go up and down. You're going to have pivots. You're going to see things change. You're going to see new evolutions like we're seeing right now, and you have to evolve with it. And that's a great thing about being creative, because you learn how to pivot, hopefully, and see things that nobody else sees first,
right,
and take advantage of those things, and that can enhance your art.
And I've seen that you've been giving back, like you've been doing a lot of tutorials and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Was that something that's always been innate in you, like as far as the give back?
Not at all. I mean, the give back, yes, but like doing speaking engagements and tutorials, I had no clue that I even had that gift until a sponsor said, "Oh, we'd like you to try doing this." And then I did it and said, "Oh, I enjoy this."
Yeah.
And now it's just like part of my thing I do all the time. And it's a way to connect with other creatives, because one thing about being a photographer, it can be a lonely creative endeavor.
Right.
So when you're around others who are in the same, that same journey, it helps you, it helps them, and you feel fulfilled by it.
And so at what point did things begin to like take off? Because I went to your website and I saw pretty much everyone that I ever grew up with. Like, this is what I love about photography. Like, you know someone's work before you know them. So like your work has preceded you, even almost just scored, like just the early days of, back when film was film, and you got everybody up there from like Oprah to, I mean, it just, the list goes on. So what was like that first celebrity that you had and you were like, I think this is where it's at?
It's funny because when I first started my career, I had no dreams about doing celebrity work at all. I just wanted to do fashion beauty in the very beginning. And through fashion beauty, an editor saw my work and said, "I'd like for you to shoot a cover of this person." And it was Halle Berry.
This person.
Yeah. So when I first got that job,
yeah,
I was like, oh, wow. So when I did that cover, and I shot her the same way I shoot beauty, that led to me getting another cover. It was Vanessa Williams. After Vanessa Williams, they gave me Oprah, and it snowballed from there.
I know your work is flawless. It speaks for itself. But what is like the underpinning? You know that old saying of like still waters run deep. So like, what is that? What people don't see? Is it the connection, or like how people spreading the word?
People don't see the connection because, people see one instant of the day. For a photographer, it's definitely about making that connection with your client. And you have this great day. And if you do a great job that day, hopefully, all those pictures are going to come out with this energy from that connection. And they see a sliver of that connection in that image.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
But what do you think is it that like gets them to spread the word?
They have a good time. Like spreading the word, that word of mouth thing is if people have a great time with you.
Yep.
If they enjoy it and then they see the pictures and they love the pictures.
Yep.
They just talk. That's how it works.
Do you ever get nervous, or is it just one of those things where like they're a person, like I'm a person, and like, I mean, how do you navigate a conversation with Halle Berry or even Oprah for that matter? Because, her headshot, and I know she has a good spirit, but I'm sure she has like a team and a lot of people who are like, there's a lot of moving parts
it's a production.
to it.
Definitely a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, I was definitely very nervous. And I think that comes out as being this energy also. Like they don't get it as being nervous, they just get it as being you having this excitement or energy about what you're doing.
Yep.
And then as you do it more and more, it's just like you have this desire to make a great image. So it's not about being nervous, it's about just trying to get a great image or great images, for the day.
Do you have to navigate them directly, or is it something that you have to talk to teams, or your team talks to their team, and then you show up and they show up?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. It can be anybody. Oh, I love this little phone booth right here. That's so cool.
This is cool.
Isn't that nice?
Do you have stickers?
I don't, but I should make some because
You
this is
should.
cool. This is wicked, man.
I'm in that culture. Look, this is my sticker.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need to get on this.
It goes a long way.
Really?
Like, I have business cards and stuff, but when you give somebody a sticker, they put it on their water bottle, they put it on their Pelican case, they put it on their laptop. So you travel around with them. And then sometimes people will be like, hold up, you know what? Matthew Jordan's, like, they'll literally make the connection. So like wherever
It's
you
so
go.
funny. A brother just gave me a sticker recently, like I'll say 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I love the stickers from Brooklyn.
Yep.
I came back and I threw it in my bag. Now that's cool.
Here's a couple of rules for you. So when you do get into stickers, there are specific places you put them on. So like I don't put them on businesses or other people's stuff or anything like that. But there's like predetermined places in any city that you go where there's a language where somebody says, I was here. When I was trying to find the vinyl spot, I knew it was a spot because Snowman was there, because It's a Living was there, because I saw their stickers.
Oh,
I
that's
saw that
funny.
they left their calling card, so to speak. And so, when we wrap this up, I'll send you my PDF of like
Okay.
all my sticker vendors that they used to.
I gotta get one right away.
Yeah, immediately.
Right
And
away.
have fun with it. Like this is like version 25. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
So I have them in all sizes. I have some that glows. So like if you look at this, there's a variety of stickers here. You have vinyl stickers. You have hologram stickers. You have paper stickers. You have people who do it by hand.
Wow.
So it's a language unto itself. Even this one right here, like this was done by hand. Where someone probably sat and listened to music and maybe drew up 100 stickers.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's a language unto itself. So it's the beginning. When I'm talking to anybody interested in this, the stickers begins the street art. Then you go to the tags, the bubble letters, all the way to murals and then advertisements. But it starts here. And it's varying messages.
Okay, wait. I want to shoot you right here. Because this speaks to me. Turn around right there for a second. I'm going to get my...
Can I take my bag off?
Yeah, take the bag off. Let's do a portrait right here in Shibuya against this backdrop. This is nice. You like that's great, like that.
I'm happy to be here.
Love that, brother.
I just got a picture taken by Icon, so I'm like, what the heck? So yeah, like definitely get you a sticker. And if you have any questions, I'm a resource.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right away.
I'm so glad you pointed that out.
No, I love that. I love that about being in Japan, in Tokyo specifically.
Yeah.
You're always seeing something. You're always inspired by life.
Yep.
What I love about living in New York, it's the same thing. You walk down the street and you're inspired by everything around you.
1000%.
And it's the same thing here, but on steroids.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, like, even as I've gone to the various stores, like I have 4 nieces. I don't have any kids, but I'm like, I got to get them some stuff. So then I went into this Don Quixote place and I almost passed out.
Donkey.
Yeah. It was insane. Like I'd never seen so many objects in my entire life. And there's like 8 floors of it.
Yeah.
And it just kept going and going and going. And it was like sensory overload. So it was like everything, any and everything exponentially is here. And so that's how I try to explain it to people. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna write a 7-day thing about my time here. And I was like, there's no way. Nobody has to read War and Peace about my experience.
No, Japan is thick.
Yeah.
There's so much here. Like, you're in Shibuya now, but there's so much outside just this area.
Right.
Tokyo dwarfs New York. It's like 35 million people here just in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And you feel that. So everywhere you go, it's going to be like this. A sea of people.
What was it that you were like, you know what, it's a wrap. I'm leaving the country. Because I mean, like, we all, as creatives, yes, we do move around, but normally it's like state to state. So that they're like, go to a whole new, do you speak Japanese fluently?
I'm not fluent yet.
Okay.
I'm not fluent yet, but I came here to visit the first time.
Okay.
Like back in the day, like 1999.
Yeah.
And then I came back to visit, I kid you not, over a period of 15 years, like at least a dozen times, 10 to 12 times I came to visit.
I feel like.
And every time I wanted to stay longer.
Wow.
I saw more.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? It's my favorite city in the world. I'm going to move here. So 2016, I moved. packed my bag and said, I'm done. I'm moving.
Was it like a really serious transition as far as like shipping all your stuff over?
Oh, yes.
Getting visas and all that stuff?
All that is definitely not easy.
Okay.
So I moved my archive. Like, I've shot film for a long time. So I moved my archive, sold everything I have. It's like starting all over again. So I've never been afraid to do that because I left New York, moved to LA. Didn't like LA so much.
You know what? Respectfully, anybody that's listening from LA has a vibe that I just can't seem to get with.
Yeah.
It took me like a week for me to finally just like relax, but it just wasn't the energy that I was going for.
I tried very hard to make it work. I'm like, no, this is not me. So New York, LA, places where you're walking around a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like home to me.
I'm a walker. I'm big on walking. That's one of the reasons why I chose Shibuya. Like, I want to get out to like Kyoto and do some
the shrines, temples,
and if I can, if possible, not to climb it, but to see Mount Fuji, even if it's just from the bullet train. But I haven't figured all that stuff out because I've just been like walking around here and really immersed in this.
There's a lot. Man, I love Mount Fuji.
Were you there like at the top of the year?
A couple of weeks ago I was there.
Yeah, you were like, it looked almost like your eyes were like a cartoon. Like you were fascinated. You were like, this is so beautiful. And I was like, I want to see what you're seeing.
No, Mount Fuji area is amazing. Like that mountain, you can see it from all over. You can see it from here in Tokyo.
Really?
Yeah, you can see it from here. And it's massive. Like there are 5 lakes around the mountain.
Okay.
So I rented a car, spent like the whole week just driving around all 5 lakes, trying to see it from different angles. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. No matter where you go, it's just beautiful. It's also a mystical mountain because sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't.
Wow.
Sometimes it can be a blue sky, not a cloud in the sky, except for around Mount Fuji.
It's see and be seen when it wants to be seen.
Yes. And it can be the other way around also, where it's a totally cloudy day.
Yeah.
And you see it clearly. It's just a crazy thing to see.
And have you climbed it?
I haven't climbed it. I've gone to base camp. That's about it.
What is that?
That's the starting point of where you start climbing.
Okay, gotcha.
But nothing more than that.
Can you talk about personal projects and the importance of them? Because I saw like Sepia Dreams.
Oh man, they are the end all be all. For a photographer, when you are working in, I love the shot of Zendaya.
You shot Zendaya too.
Oh yeah, I shot her at the beginning of her, like, I guess, movie career.
Yeah.
Getting back to creative projects, personal projects, I feel they are the end all be all for so many reasons, because if you're just working all the time for somebody and creating work for somebody else, you don't get a chance to be creative for yourself.
Speak on it.
And to be creative, to really be creative, you've got to make work for yourself. That's done for you and nothing else.
Right.
And that's where creative projects come together.
And so with Sepia Dreams, how'd that come about? Did that come in a dream?
That was actually, a dream. I had this idea. I wanted to find out.
Let's stop here for a second.
Okay. I wanted to find out how people get started in their career and what makes them stay with, because you have challenges, especially in the arts. So I wanted to interview a bunch of artists, Black artists, about their story, their dreams, and how it got started. Was it easy? Did they ever want to quit? Did they have ups and downs? All that. So I asked 50 celebrities, can I interview them and photograph them? And that's how that book came to be.
So what year did that book come out, or when did you start doing those interviews?
I started doing that book the end of the 90s. So like 1999, 98, I was working on that project. It came out in 2001.
Okay, so talk about the process of interviewing 50 celebrities without Zoom, without remote. So did you fly to them? Did they fly to you?
I went to them.
Wow.
I went to them.
And was that in your time in LA where you were like, I'm out here?
No, I was actually in New York at the time.
Okay.
I was in New York.
So you would visit them wherever they were in New York, or would you fly out
New York and LA.
Okay.
Back and forth. They were in New York. I do them there, of course. But that's out of my own pocket at the time, just trying to make it come together.
Yeah.
That's the first book.
But because of that book, I really want to get past this construction before I ask you this next question.
Yeah.
Because they're like getting busy in there. I like how they like seal off the whole entire building. So like safety first.
Safety first.
You know, in New York, it's like safety third.
Exactly. Maybe.
They put these wooden awnings and they'll be like, hope you don't get hit by a piano. Out here, it's like it's super safe. I'm gonna take a picture of
Yeah,
that.
everything is safe all the time. And you get spoiled by that.
I'm spoiled. It's gonna be a little rough. It's gonna be a transitional period to when I get back in February. Was it the 4th I get back?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm going to the States day after tomorrow.
Okay, dope.
On Thursday, fly back on the 4th.
Okay, nice.
So fast trip.
Yeah, quick one. Sepia Dreams led to a conversation with Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Incredible.
So I started shooting Aretha in 2004. So as a gift, into the shoot, I gave her that book, Sepia Dreams.
Yep.
And the book's on 50 celebrities.
Wow.
And she's not in the book. So she looks at the book and she says, oh, why am I not in this book? So I'm put on the spot and I tell her, Miss Franklin, I'm so sorry, but I promise you in the future, I'm going to fix that. And that was our beginning of our friendship. I shot her until she passed.
That gives me chills. And so that gave birth to Aretha Cool.
Yes.
Ah!
Yes. That gave birth to that. Kind of
Another
funny
personal
thinking about
project.
that. Yes.
Let's talk about it.
I had to do a book on Aretha because she was the only client in my entire career who would call me.
Really?
She called me. She wanted to talk to an agent, a manager, nothing. She wanted to talk to just me directly. And that was great. So I got a chance to photograph her, not just for work, but for her. Sometimes she called just to talk on the phone about a TV show she's watching. Or she called to ask oh, what do you think about this name for this album cover?
Yes.
It was just a wonderful friendship.
Isn't that funny how life works?
It is.
Did you ever think at the beginning of your career that you would develop a relationship like that?
No, never.
I guess it's impossible to even try.
Exactly.
Wow.
Probably appears.
Yeah, let's do the escalator. I see 1,000 steps.
You know, steps.
You were like, there goes the escalator.
We can get past all this noise.
But the book is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you, man.
Can you talk about all the intricate details that you put into it? Because from the way it folds out, the way it sits in the inseam, it looks like you thought about everything. What was your process?
I had to. I wanted to do a book that was like a tribute to her, that gave her respect, that was beautiful, because very often we don't have projects like that of us.
Facts.
When she passed, I felt like, okay, there are the movies out there, there's other stuff out there, but all of those things that were out there were before I ever met her. They're all in before I ever met her.
Yeah.
So that part of her life, it wasn't covered. And I wanted to do a book that showed the beauty of that moment, those last years of her, and then tell stories about what I experienced being with her that last part of her life.
So did you become a better storyteller over time? What was that about?
I think that I'm still becoming a decent storyteller. It's just doing it over and over and over again. I've always been a storyteller in terms of photography, but doing it in a different way, you got to learn how to be, I guess, comfortable outside of your area. No. And the book is a thing that lives on. The one thing I learned about doing Sepia Dreams is that people would stop me, 10, 15 years later from other countries and say, oh, I love that book, which blew me away. People who weren't even born when I did the book would stop me about the book. I'm like, okay, Aretha needs that also.
So what was your approach? My process, sometimes I'll do interviews, and I've done about, close to 300 interviews, one-on-one interviews with anybody from, you name it, photography or of graffiti. Not like you name it like that, but people that I never thought in a million years that they would actually say yes. Kind of like this conversation. I've learned to just study and then crumble up the paper and throw it to the side and then intuitively have a conversation.
Yes. That makes sense. A real honest, organic conversation.
But I'm listening, so I'm tuned in. I'm not like, all right, Matthew answered that question. What's the next one? I'm just kind of like, Wherever we go is where we go. And if we can have a connected conversation, then we've won.
Yes.
And to your point about, Aretha Cool, when I do conversations with us, I want to make sure that we are covered in an elevated way, in
I
a
love
highly
that.
highly intelligent way, and presented as such. Because sometimes, we're like putting this asterisk, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yes.
this is what that voice is," and I'm like, "No, it's a human voice, and it's a voice of mastery. So like, let's respect it as such."
That's true. With Aretha Cool was funny. I felt like I had to do that book. I had to do a book that honored her 10 years from now.
Yeah.
When people come up, like, kids who don't really pay attention, maybe
Yeah.
when they're 20, maybe they'll hear her voice and be like, oh, who is that?
Yep.
And want
It's
to
gonna
see
happen.
beyond that,
Yeah.
beyond just the music.
What was your science behind the color choice?
So I did have a designer, a publisher, and one thing I've learned about being creative, it's really important for you to sometimes let go. Because we see things just the way we see it. We can go over here for a second,
Yeah, that works.
get past some of these people.
Can I ask you, what is the best way to say goodbye? Because I've been eating at these fantastic coffee shops and ramen spots and whatever, and then it just feels really incomplete because I'm like, do I say sayonara or does that just sound like too traditional? Like what is?
So you never say sayonara.
Oh, that's why I got that weird look.
Yeah. So
I Googled
it's
it, and I was-
funny. If you look up how to say goodbye,
Yeah,
you'll hear sayonara
right.
or you'll see sayonara.
Yeah,
But sayonara means farewell, like goodbye, goodbye. Like the end,
Oh my gosh.
have a good life.
Yeah.
You never say sayonara,
So what should I be saying? Because I want to say, because there's like a real
Very
connection.
casually, just Janae.
Janae.
Yeah, Janae.
Janae.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that. Janae. Janae.
Yeah, don't say it like an American, like say Janae, like the group, like just Janae.
Janae. Okay. Because I feel like I've been like fumbling. Oh, and even though I've studied all these things, it feels like I'm still getting it wrong. And the only way to like really learn the language is basically have this exact conversation where I'm just like, so Matthew, can you tell me how to say hello? And I mean, it's like,
Because also with Japanese, it's not a literal translation.
okay.
That'll get you in trouble. Yeah, when it comes to Japanese, it's not a literal translation. Because if you take everything we say in English and translate it, it's not going to work. Like we have a lot of slang. We say the word love all the time. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's cool. People don't say that here.
What do they say?
They'll say like, it's funny, I saw this girl doing a skit about this. She's like, oh, Japanese don't say that. We say, honto. This is like, wow. Or it's just like it's just a different way of expressing themselves.
It's not a specific way.
There is a specific way. There's a way that's culturally right for Japanese. It's funny because it's not based on anything, but you just diving in and learning the culture first.
Okay. Learn the culture first.
Learn the culture first.
And what does that look like of like learning the culture first outside of learning the language?
Okay, here's an example. So you can write your name any way you want to. I can write Matthew, I can write an M any way I want to. In Japan, you learn to write specific. So everybody writes it exactly the same way. You draw the first line the first way. There's an order. And that order of learning how to write, say, hiragana, filters into everything in Japanese life. Everybody follows the rules. Exactly. Like you ride the subway, everybody's walking on one side.
Yes.
Everybody's standing on one side, everybody's in line. So that whole like way you learn hiragana and katakana and kanji, all of that filters into every aspect of life here in Japan. The rules.
The rules.
And people follow the rules here.
Yes. It's funny because I was on the phone with my sister, and I was like, let me call you back. I'm about to go on the subway.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I was like, I don't want to be the guy. Because that's what I try to pick up on these little things because I can feel it. Even me laughing right now this loud, I feel like, let me just tone it down because it's lively.
If you hear anybody on the train talking, you know they're a foreigner.
Yes. and I don't want to do those social faux pas, especially if I know it, like, and I'm a rule follower. Like I want to just get in line and go about your business. You know what I mean? Because then you don't have to worry about much when you do that.
Right.
So it's been a really cool experience. And when you talk about the laws or the rules, so to speak, yeah.
I don't say that they all follow the rules. Like, every young generation has their way of doing things.
Yep.
But for the most part, people do fall in line. And that's why life is so beautiful here. You don't have people fighting about, certain things like you find back home. Everybody just falls in line and they do it. And it works. And it's peaceful here.
It's very, oh my gosh.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
I wouldn't
it's a
expect
long
it
way
to
from
be
perfect.
because the reason why it could never be perfect because it's on Earth,
Yes,
and Earth is not designed for perfect.
exactly.
If I've learned, like yesterday was my birthday, I've learned in 47 years that Earth is a school.
It is. And you are learning all the time.
You experience, you learn. And that's pretty much the basis of it all. And so like to come out here and then to have faith. The funny thing is my brother G, he came out here for about 3 months, maybe like a year, maybe a couple of months ago to get a song mastered. And so he was telling me about his trip. And I was like, I want to go to Tokyo.
And right now it's on sale. It's like, the dollar is so strong. It's like coming here is like having 50% off everywhere you go.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I bought some very rare bourbon that would be like 2 and change in the States, and I got it for like $90.
Right. Everything is like 59% off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then he texts me, he's like, I told him I'm going. He sent me a YouTube video of you. And he was like, you should talk to this guy.
That's funny.
And I was
That's
like,
funny.
and so shout out to G Comfort Crusade. Like his music is like, you know how you go to like the Standard or you go to like one of those fancy hotels, and even one out here, I can't remember which one, sorry G. His music will be playing, like, cause he makes that soulful house music.
Oh, wow.
Comfort Crusade is phenomenal.
Okay, I gotta check that out then.
But he was like, so I was like, I watched the entire video, I watched the interview. It was you and a brother, you guys were like walking around, similar to what we're doing, but then y'all would take a seat. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna just follow you on Instagram and just see what happened. And then next thing I know,
That's funny.
and the funny thing about life, like that your mind will start lying to you. Your mind will be like, don't go bugging that man. Don't bug him. And so you're just like, all right, I'm not gonna bug him. And then I had like a really good coffee, maybe a day or so, and I was like, hey Matthew, I'm in town, that kind of thing. And I was just like, we'll see what happens. And here we are, Can you talk about the art of like making connections and, letting things serendipitously happen?
It's funny, being in Japan, it reminds me of my first days as a photographer. Now, this is before, the Instagrams and Facebooks and all that stuff.
Yep.
And back in the day, you make connections by being out and about and meeting people.
Yep.
You weren't hiding behind a computer or an app or whatever. And here, which is funny, 2025, even though everybody's on TikTok and Instagram and everything else, to make business happen here, you got to be out and about and meet people.
That's it.
The bar you at, JBS.
Yeah.
I've met so many people there. So always having my camera with me, always having a card, because here in Japan, a lot is still old school.
Yep.
And the old school part is having a physical card.
Talk about the art of that. So like, can I see your card?
Absolutely.
Did you get it right or get it wrong? Like, what was some of the processes of you getting it right?
Well, my wife's Japanese, so
Okay.
I got schooled on that.
Got to.
I've had this is like a Japanese holder, and this material, when I pull it out,
gorgeous
it's like,
wallet.
oh, they know it.
Okay.
They know this quality, they know this pattern. So then I open it up, and you always use 2 hands to give a card. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. You'll do like a bow, you'll use those 2 hands, and you'll say that as Yoroshiku onegaishimasu as you hand their card. And they'll take the card and they will actually read everything on the card and talk to you about, oh, this is your number. Oh, you're in Tokyo. Oh, you're in New York. Oh, this is your Instagram. They look at it. Like, I've gone to places where I've spoken in the States and I give a card out. They'll throw it in their pocket and not even look at it.
Right.
And that's normal. in
You
the
know
States.
what? And that's why I kind of pivoted to stickers, because I was like, my business card is ending up into this graveyard of business cards. And so I was like, what's the point? And so I started doing that. But now listening, when I come back here, I'm going to design a card specifically for the trip.
Oh, yeah. And if you are in a meeting, which you are all the time here,
Yeah.
they'll put all the cards down in front of them. If you're in a room of people, they'll go down in an order. And they'll stay there until the end of the meeting. Then they put those cards away. But the card's placed in basically where the person is. So you can look at the card and see, okay, this is this person. So it makes sense.
Wow.
It's kind of cool to see it and observe it and learn from it.
So when you receive a card, you take the time out to read their card as well?
The same thing.
Okay.
You have to. You have to be respectful and learn from that because they are watching everything you do as well.
I see that your card has the same information. Oh, the other side is in Japanese.
Right.
Ah.
Right. One side's in Japanese, one side's in English.
And then you have your Tokyo number and your NYC number.
Exactly.
And then your social.
Right.
So like your marketing has elevated since, what did your early marketing look like?
Oh, it's funny. Back in the old days, I would send a print to people. I say old days, but right now it's funny because things are coming back. Like people are starting to shoot film. Like kids who are in their 20s right now, they're all shooting film.
Yep.
And they're printing. I shot an actor 2 days ago. And his father's a famous photographer. And he made prints and gave me prints as a gift. The second time I saw him, I'm like, that's crazy. And that's what I do now also. I'm gonna start making prints because nobody's gonna throw a print away.
No.
You know, you have a print and you sign that print.
Yeah.
You put the date on it.
Yes.
It's special and people remember that.
Yes.
If you just give somebody something, it's a throwaway, they'll throw it away.
Right.
But a special print, they don't give that
And the
away.
way you present it, if you put in the cellophane or whatever the plastic is, with the
Exactly.
cardboard, especially, I have done that and it has made an impact.
It makes a big impact.
I've made now I'm working on zine type
Oh,
photo
yeah.
books. And so I've been noticing that when you give somebody a book and it's like official tissue in the sense that it looks like it could be in Barnes and Nobles, like the amount of energy you can put inside of it, it reflects the impact of what you would have on the actual person.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. It's funny you say all that. I know it's still noisy here
Yeah.
in the subway.
We'll
but-
work it out. Technology, believe it or not, I use this thing called Alphonic. If I put it in Alphonic, it would sound like you and I in the studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I did an interview once recently with a brother named Tino, and we were in this like coffee shop right outside of Washington Square Park, and the rain was coming down. It was bananas. And then I ran it through the software, and it just sounded like we were like doing NPR.
That's bananas.
Scary how crazy.
It's that good now.
Yes. I sat there. I was like, maybe I'm tripping. And I was telling, I have people who listen and they're like, man, I love that. And I'm like, man, we were in a really loud cafe. So it's crazy how things are getting.
Now that part is brilliant. Like to see what we can do now, things are easier, than ever before.
Yeah.
So now you get the advantage of all this technology to make your dreams come true.
You have no excuse now.
You have
I
no
feel
excuse.
like the boundaries or the things that would, the barriers of entry, I should say, that were once placed just for Black folks, like, I'm like, bro, you got all the tools now. Like, there's really
That's
no
true. There's no gatekeeper in that way.
No. And so like I have a friend and I was telling him he's a painter and I'm like, you got to start writing articles, yo. Like he was like, I'm like, it's the SEO. Because I started writing tremendous articles, I would say the last year or so, Monopoly reached out to me and was like, hey, we're doing a Queens thing. And I was like, word? But I told my father, he was like, Monopoly. Is they want me to talk to they want me to interview the producer of the, so I did the whole thing. And so like all these random, like, it's not like spam. I just get like 1 or 2 emails where I have to look at it like 2 times, like, how are they finding me? But it's the SEO. It's the articles.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I'm not even like trying to be anybody but myself. So the article sounds like this. So
That's
it's grammatically
fantastic.
correct. So you use Grammarly and whatever, but like I will take my phone open up the transcribe, and just say whatever it is I need to say, and then take it into another AI and say, hey, fix the grammar and fix the spelling. And then it just snaps my voice, and now I don't have to worry about paragraphs, I don't have to worry about periods. All that stuff is formalities. I wouldn't want to do it anyways. So, but my voice and what we were talking about, the ability to tell a story, it's
Tell a
already
story.
in you.
Absolutely.
You know, with griots, because
We all have it.
we have all these experiences already.
Yeah. It's funny. Presentation is so big here in Japan in so many ways. With my latest book, I did 2 versions.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this, but I did 2 versions of the book, and that is definitely from being here in Japan.
Okay.
So I did a book that's a collector's item version,
The one of 100?
one of 100.
Okay.
That one was definitely influenced by Japan, and even the fold out that's in the middle of the standard book.
Mm-hmm.
All that is like those things that are little pieces of here that I want to give. The way the book is packaged, the way the limited edition book is packaged, all those little elements came from living here.
Can you tell that story about you singing?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny. So JBS is one of my spots.
Okay.
There's another spot that I go to in Shinjuku called RPM.
You were there last night.
I was there last night. And I walk in and they play Aretha's music. And the song they played is one of my favorite songs. So this is like back in like 2009, 2010. I'm shooting Aretha in studio. By now I've known her like, 5, 6 years. We're really close. I know what she likes. I know what she doesn't like. She doesn't like to hear anything but her music.
Wow.
So I made my own list of music that I played on every single shoot. It's all my favorite Aretha Franklin songs.
Okay, fantastic.
So she's having the hair and makeup done. The music is blasting in the studio. It's like you're having a Aretha Franklin concert of your favorite music, and she's right there.
Mm-hmm.
She comes out of hair and makeup. She's sitting down, we're shooting, and she's humming along as I'm shooting, humming to her music. And then this song comes on, and she's humming, and she starts to sing. She's like as far away from me as I am to you right now.
Yeah.
And I'm shooting, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she's like lost in the music. And I just start singing along. Because it's like my favorite song, right? As you do.
Right.
I'm singing along. I wasn't that loud, but I'm singing along. And she stops singing, looks at me, and says, Jordan, baby, don't sing. Just like that. And you have to picture the room, because the room, it's not just us, it's hair, makeup, my assistants,
Oh my God.
bodyguard. Everybody is like totally quiet for like an instant.
Yeah, you can hear that like proverbial pin drop.
Exactly. And then everybody busts out laughing, including Aretha. And I'm so embarrassed in the moment, but because she's laughing, I'm still shooting her and getting all these great images. And it's just one of those special, special moments that I'll never forget.
What is one of the most important things you learned from Aretha Franklin?
Oh, there's a lot I learned from her. Number one is to stand up for yourself no matter what. If you see an interview with Aretha, she's going to tell you exactly what she feels. She's not going to hold punches. I've watched many people walk up to her asking her to sign something. Not just an autograph, but sign like an album or sign whatever. If it was an album, she'd sign it. But something else, she's like, no, I'm not signing that. So I learned from her, no, don't just do whatever in the moment to make somebody happy, even though they're your fans. Do things that still are, and you taking care of yourself. That was Aretha. To be yourself in all situations. She always wanted to have soul food on set. It's like being around your family members.
How have you learned to be yourself personally and professionally? Has that something that has evolved over time?
Definitely evolved over time. As you get older, you start to understand that your power is in you being yourself. You really can't be anybody else.
Yep.
But when you are authentically yourself, not afraid to say what you feel, not worried about what somebody else is going to think, all of a sudden that goes away and people are more accepting of you for standing up for who you are.
Yeah.
Not being afraid of, if I say this, or they might think that of me. Say how you feel and what you believe in.
I agree. When I was 39, and the moment I turned 40, it was like somebody kicked a switch, and it was just like, I don't care anymore.
I've
Like-
got a friend who says it doesn't matter what anybody thinks because they don't care about you anyway. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
Which is very true.
Yeah.
People are thinking about themselves and, oh, what's my think of me?
Yep.
No, be yourself.
I had a
Period.
friend, his name, he passed away. His name is the Me Nobody Knows. He was a graffiti artist. And he used to say, I am not defined by your ignorance.
Yes, I like that.
And he would write that all over New York.
I like that.
And he'd also write, nobody cares. But what he was saying was like, the way I interpret it was like, you got to do what you got to do.
Period.
Like, people care. Like, if somebody fell right now, it'd be, but like, truly, like, who needs to care? You need to care. And the last thing I'll say, when I was like 17, my mentor, my OG, she said to me, who are you? We were like sitting, she had put me on to Miles Davis, Sketches of Spain. And she was like, who
Playing
are
him
you?
yesterday. Playing
Yeah.
Miles yesterday.
And then I go to answer, and she said, don't answer that. You will be defining that for the rest of your life.
And she was right.
She was right. That was over 30 years ago.
Wow.
I can tell you she is right on point with all that. You are doing that all your life. You're discovering parts of you all your life. That's the beauty of life. Yeah.
And
yeah.
because of the things that, like, you and I were both creatives and we do a lot of things, I started saving all my phone photography to one hard drive. So I have for like maybe like, let's just say 15 years of just like phone photos. And I'll go through it and I'll begin to see the patterns of like, this time of year, I always seem to be in this kind of environment, or this type of year. And I'm like reevaluating what it is that I've seen the growth of just from my, like
As a
just now, we
creative.
were like taking pictures of stickers or whatever. So like, it's those little intricate moments that you don't even think about anymore that are still, that have defined you and a million, sculpture cuts kind of thing.
That's true. No, it's funny because I just did an interview 2 days ago also. Not 3 days ago. This guy's got like 3 million followers on YouTube. Flew to Asia just to do interviews for his YouTube.
Wow.
I don't know how he found me. But we were talking about like, the evolution of life and of course being an artist.
Yep.
And he was asking me, like what's something that's really important to you now that wasn't important before? And I said, starting my day off by thanking God before I do anything else. Before I do anything else, starting my day off by thanking God that I woke up today.
Yep.
That I could breathe today.
Yep.
That I could drink a glass of water today and swallow today. Because that's not given. And then, from there, I do all the other things. Go to the gym, when you work, be creative. But I start the day by being thankful. Because tomorrow, that could all end. But
You are
yes.
not guaranteed any of it. I thank God for protection
So
and
do I.
direction and safe travels. So like when I don't care if I like go to the city right quick and end up back home. I walk through the door, throw my keys, and I'm like, thank you for getting me home safe. Cause you're not guaranteed. Like, you're really not guaranteed. And so like this experience, it's ephemeral.
Let me tell you something else that I learned from Aretha. You just made me remember something. Like, she wasn't scared to thank God no matter where she was. I was shooting a picture of her in Times Square. If you go through the book, you'll see this. Her doing this. That was her at the end of the shoot, thanking God, because it was an amazing day. That was an incredible day. And in that moment, she was like, and she did that day twice. She did that in studio. Then we took a break, came back, had dinner, and came back shooting. The whole day, she was like, and I got that because I grew up seeing that. And I knew right away what it meant. And she knew that I knew what that meant. We didn't have to say a word to each other, but that was her thanking the Creator, thanking God for maybe her talent, for being able to do what she's doing, giving her another day, even though she was fighting cancer, all that stuff. All that is like being thankful all the time.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I swear, I've lived a storied life in a sense of like, I don't have a lot of objects, but it's the moments and it's the conversations that are
Moments are
rich.
way more important than stuff.
That to me has been like, sometimes I think it was last year, I did the SVA talk with Tom
Oh,
and them.
wow.
They invited me to give the talk because I'm grateful that happened. But one of the questions that I was asked, they said, "Do you network?" And I said, "I don't network. I cultivate relationships over time. And who will be in your life will be in your life, and whoever bows out, that's fine too. But like whoever's supposed to be there present day will be there."
That's true.
And it's those things that you do. Oh, so like there's people that I have a friend that I've known since kindergarten. Then I have people that just like I keep quoting my OG. She was like, "You're walking your own path, and then sometimes people walk with you, and sometimes they walk off. And if they walk off, they're on their own path." And so like a cultivated relationship, whenever they return, "Hey, how you doing?" You pick up right where you left off.
And I have those. I go back, see friends I haven't seen in a long time, 10 years, whatever, and you pick up right where you left off. Those are real friends. And we do walk our own path. We do walk our own path. Sometimes friends walk away and go a certain way, but those who are meant to be in your life at that moment
Yep.
come back in.
And I've had friends and people who I dearly love, and we've fallen out for something that is so trivial looking back, but at the moment it meant so much.
I have same things.
And then like you have this gap where you don't speak, and then when you finally speak again and it's like you make up, you both have this mutual respect of like, let's not ever do that again.
Exactly. That's silly because life is short. We don't know what tomorrow brings.
Right.
We don't know what tomorrow brings. I mean, we're sitting here now, but we all remember back in 2020 when COVID hit
Yeah.
out the blue and nobody saw it coming, and we all probably had plans. I know I had plans.
Everybody had plans. End of 2019, I was like, 2020 is going to be phenomenal because
Exactly.
2019 was so fantastic. And then around like December, I was supposed to go to Portugal, and the person I was supposed to go with, I was like, I got a feeling like we should probably like start saving. And she was mad. And then she was like, I said, I don't know. I just got a feeling because I do like, I would just say in the last 10 years or so, I've been guided by my intuition, my instincts, and my discernment. Those three things, and God, of course. And I feel like those three things are elements of God.
They
So
are. Discernment.
those things, when you listen to that gut feeling of like, that thing was like, "Hey, you do not want to leave the country." I was like, say less. And everything happened. I'm not psychic or anything. It was just kind of like how birds know to like, or squirrels know to run away.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
yeah, like so that when you are in places like this, so like whatever creative issues or challenges that I may be going through back in New York, I solve them here in foreign land by walking around and listening to God and utilizing those.
Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. I walk and talk to God all the time now.
Yeah.
Things that I didn't do so much when I was younger. And now I've learned that's the most important thing for me to do.
And because I've learned that you really have to check in with yourself. Because like
Or
sometimes,
you'll be lost.
one time I found myself yelling at something and I was like, whoa, what is going on with me? And somebody beeped at me and I was like, "Hey man, you watch where you're going." Like I just lost it. And then I was like, and I'm literally editing what I said. I was like, "You," and then the person I was walking with, I said, "Something's up with me. Like that was unnecessary. That was uncouth. That was disrespectful. Like what's going on the inside?" Turns out I was just like stressed out about all kinds of stuff. And so like I've had quite a few friends that just couldn't take it anymore and have graduated themselves in the most poetic way to say it. And you just never know. So it's like before things get to that, I'm like, I have people that I can just call and be like, "Hey man, can I just talk? I don't even want advice. Just hear me out." And same thing, like people call them like, "Bro, don't feel like you need to take this all on your own, especially as we're getting older. Call me, man. Don't," and I'll be quiet and I'll just say, "Word, that's crazy." Okay, but I'm, that kind of thing because you can see it in people's eyes with,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can feel it.
yeah,
You can feel it.
you could feel it. Like I was talking to a friend once, and at the end of the conversation, I just looked in his eyes and I felt it, and I was like, "Hey, man," and I'm not saying anything was going on. I'm just saying, "Hey, man, I love you, and I appreciate you. Just want to tell you that." And he was like, "All right," and he gave me a hug, but I see like the pressure just eased
Went
up a little
away.
bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, probably still going through what he was going through at the time. You know, he's much better ever since then. But like, as we get older, these experiences get a little heavy.
Very heavy.
Yeah,
very
that's a better way to
fast.
put it. Yeah.
Very fast. And the world can change on a dime. We've all learned. You know, nobody knows what's coming. It's important to have good friendships, be able to talk about anything you're going through, the stresses of life.
Yep.
You know,
I want to pivot to your, because this is the one when I was like, you did that? This shot of like waiting to exhale and everyone's hugging each other. Can you say who that is and what that? I was like, oh, he did that? Like, and when I tell people who I'm going, I'm like, Ma, I got a big interview coming up. I bring that up. I'm like, you know the picture? Because it's so iconic.
it's funny. That day was my first time meeting all 5 of these women. The cast of Waiting to Exhale, Whitney Houston, it's Angela Bassett, it's Leela Rashawn, it's Laura Devine, and then it's the author, Terry McMillan. And the shoot took like, I want to say like 2 or 3 months to put together. You know, they just finished doing the movie. It hasn't been released yet. They wanted to shoot for all of them together, get them all in one place. And the shoot changed locations like 3 times. It was in New York, it was in LA. We ended up shooting in San Francisco
Wow.
in a studio that was private. Like going to this shoot, I remember it's like down this alleyway, and they had like security guards everywhere, like it's like the president would have.
Right.
So I walk in the studio, we're setting up, me and my team was setting up, and the first person to arrive was Whitney Houston. And Whitney walks in and she sees my 2 assistants. One was Chinese and one was white. She walks up to them, to the girl, and she says, "Oh, who's the photographer?" And she looks and points at me and says, "Him." And Whitney looks at me and she says, "Oh, that's different." You know, a Black photographer is a rare thing. Especially back
100%.
then.
Yeah.
So she walks up to me and she says, "So where's your music?" And back then, I carried this big, thick case of CDs on all my shoots. And she walks over, I show her my music, and she starts going like this, going through all my CDs. She's like, "You know what, brother? We're going to get along just fine." That set off the day.
Oh, man.
So we're shooting, it's like a full day shoot.
Yeah.
I'm shooting them all separately. It's like for press, it's for a cover of a magazine the weekend before the movie comes out. We're doing the shoot. My client has all these things they want to get done. We do all those images and we finish the day. But during the day, Whitney would run off the set, run to my CDs and change the song. She did the entire shoot.
Can you tell me some of the stuff that Whitney was playing that she liked?
Oh, man, yeah. She was playing everything. She was playing Babyface. She was playing like, you know, all the R&B stuff that we love today. Like, actually, the R&B you hear here in Tokyo now, she's playing that kind of music.
That's what I'm saying.
Because like the 90s music right now is super hot here in Japan.
Yeah.
She's playing all this like, you know, old school stuff that was like, at the time, still new school.
Yeah.
But
did you have any of her CDs in there?
Of course.
I was about to say.
Of course. She didn't play any of her music, though.
Okay, gotcha.
She didn't play any of her
but
music.
I'm sure she noticed, like, okay, I'm in this list.
I know, she did. She definitely did. She didn't say anything, but she did notice, for sure.
Wow.
But, so the end of the day happens. My client says, "I think we've got it all." I'm like, "Yeah, but we're shooting film back then also." I'm like, "Yeah, but ladies, I want to do this one more shot." It's like, I want to do a shot of everybody just hugging. Close your eyes and just hug each other and think about what it felt like to end the movie. And they all just put their hands around each other and I shot first with Terry not being in the middle. I had Angela in the middle. They said, "No, let's change input," because Angela had on like this golden dress and Terry McMillan, the author, she had on this white suit.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's put Terry in the middle. And he just set it off. And I love that picture so much. The feeling in the room at that moment, having all these sisters together, it was like, it felt like you were at church and you just have, it's just this amazing feeling in the room that we all felt. That picture is that feeling in an image.
Wow.
It was just this, nobody wanted to go. Nobody wanted to leave. As a matter of fact, after that shot, Everybody gets dressed in their clothes. Whitney's still spinning music.
Yeah. Oh, she's DJing.
She's still DJ. She's still putting music on. And we're all like dancing in the studio. And I said, come back on the set again. I want to shoot another picture of you guys just like in your clothes. So I have pictures of them in their clothes as Whitney's playing songs and everybody's dancing on set.
Isn't it incredible that I'm sure you already thought about this, but like I just be on the outside looking in like, you had private DJ sets with Whitney Houston. You've done, a little karaoke with Aretha Franklin. I mean, like with the unauthorized evidently.
Right.
So, I mean, you snapped Michael Jordan. What was that like?
Yes. Well, that's a crazy story. So Michael Jordan, I first met him through Martha Stewart.
Okay.
Martha Stewart hired me to shoot her and some celebrities, and one was Michael Jordan. So on the shoot, we're shooting in like the New York Sports Club. And Michael walks in and Martha says, Michael Jordan, Matthew Jordan, Matthew Jordan, Michael Jordan. Anyway, we bonded, got the shoot done. She loves the pictures. And I didn't know it, but she gave Michael my number. I get a call from Michael Jordan, and he wants to hire me to photograph him and his family. At the time, they'd never had a family portrait done. This is his first wife. They never had a family portrait done because he's always on the road. He wants to have a family portrait done. I'm assuming his wife would give him pressure because they didn't, all the shots are always just her and the kids, the 3 kids. And she wants one with the whole family. We set it up. It took months to put together. The date changed. Date changed like six times.
6 times it changed?
Easily 6 times.
What do you, when that kind of change happens, do you just kind of like, oh yeah, that's what happens in production?
It's normal.
Or do you get frustrated?
With Aretha a lot all the time.
Okay,
it
gotcha.
All the time.
So,
Celebrities.
I don't think people realize like the patience and fortitude you need to have
Let me
to live.
tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Patience beyond. Patience of Job.
Yes.
I mean.
Biblical amounts of patience.
But it's Michael Jordan. I get it. He's like all over the place,
Michael Jordan.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So we finally find the date. It's locked in stone.
Yep.
Nothing's going to change. It's 2 days before I'm going to Chicago because we're going to shoot at his house. It's 2 days before we're going to do the shoot. I get a call from somebody in LA, organization in LA. They want me to jump on a flight that night to fly to South Africa to photograph Mandela. I had to turn it down.
You turned down a shoot with Mandela because this was finally locked in stone.
And
you gave your word.
Yes, I gave my word to Michael Jordan.
Yes.
This is a big deal. It's like the date that we've locked in. We got flights, everything.
Can I just say, isn't it phenomenally weird how life happens when once you've made a decision, you got to shoot with Michael Jordan, and then just the sense of humor of God is like,
exactly.
You know what? I want to introduce this other element to see how bad you really want it.
How bad you want it.
When I took this trip, I got an email for the same exact day. It's like, hey, there's a shoot that's happening, and it was a nice amount of bread. And I was like, evidently I'm supposed to go to Tokyo because...
Trust me, that happens all the time, brother. All the time.
Wow.
You have nothing going on, and all of a sudden you have a conflict of 2 dates.
And you have everything going on.
All the time. All the time.
So you locked in the date. Then what happened?
Locked in the date. I told this organization, it was an AIDS organization. I told them I couldn't do the shoot, and I referred a good friend of mine to the shoot. And on my word, they hired him, and he flew to South Africa and did the shoot.
Fantastic.
And even to this day, when I see that picture of Mandela, because he was given 15 minutes to do the shoot. That was it.
15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Gee.
15 minutes.
Who have you been given 15 minutes to shoot?
Oh, many people. Oprah. There's everybody. There's been a lot of people who give me like 15 minutes.
Does that feel like a buzzer beater kind of thing?
It's funny because now, if I am on my game, I can shoot anybody in 15 minutes.
Okay.
You don't need a lot of time. You don't need a lot of pictures to get a great shot.
Yeah.
You need to be prepared.
Let's talk about preparation and organization.
That's
another thing that I like when it comes to like just efficiency and knowing where everything is. Kind of talk about that.
I guess, I worked as a photo assistant to start my career.
Okay.
And you learn that, well, back in the day anyway, you learn that the prep is the hard work. The shoot is the easy part. The preparation is the hard part. Making sure prep is not just about gear. Prep is like, being prepared for your client, knowing about them, having the right music. Music's a big deal.
Yeah.
On my sets, music is a big deal. Having the right music for that client to keep them. I have a shoot tomorrow. And I asked my client a few days, oh, what do you want to hear? Who do you like hearing?
Yeah.
And when she said, oh, I like 90s style US hip hop, because she's a Japanese person. And I'm like, oh, wow. I love that. Music sets the tone. So preparation's a big part. Making sure, of course, all your gear is set, everything is not taken for granted. Your lights, your cameras, your light meters, all those different things, the packing, the studio. I get everywhere early.
Yep. Same.
I get everywhere early.
I would rather be super early, whether I'm in the airport or even though that I'm going to meet you. You're like, I'll be there at 2:00. I was downstairs maybe 15 minutes early.
That. I love that.
Because I'm like, I respect your time and I'm grateful that you're here. And that goes for you or my little sister. I'm going to make sure that you're not waiting on me. And then on top of that, it gives me a moment to like breathe, center myself. I'm not coming down like, coming down with apologies and excuses. You're off to a bad start. And
centered.
Yes. And I feel like when it comes to client work, if their confidence for you was up here, even if it just went down one notch, that's expensive. That's the difference between a callback. But if you're already there,
absolutely.
It's like, so here's your seat. Kind of like when I go to the ramen spot, they're like, that's your seat. It makes all the difference in the world.
The difference in the world, man. All the difference in the world. And people talk. So when you're prepared and people see that, and it comes out in the images where they feel relaxed.
Yep.
They have confidence in you because you are not fumbling around wondering like, oh, where did I put this? Where did I put that? That shows.
Everything.
It's funny because when you're prepared, anything can happen. Like through my career, I've had all these like pivots, things that happened that I never would dream would happen. I never dreamed Michael Jordan would call me or Aretha would call me. Or,
Didn't you do something with Prince?
Never with Prince. Never.
Okay.
Never with Prince.
Was it close?
No. Never got a call about doing anything with Prince. Michael Jackson, but never Prince.
Wow.
Never, ever with Prince.
Did you feel the way? Well, like kind of like Aretha, like, why am I not one of your photographers, Prince?
There are many people like that, I guess like creating, period.
Right.
Creating, period, is like when you're happy. It's not even about a payday. It's just about being able to do what you do every day, do what you love every day.
That part.
That's what I prayed for even this morning. Let me be able to do more of what I love every single day.
That's honestly like, that's the big payoff. Like, I have an older cousin and when I was first getting started as a creative professional and artist, whatever, he was like, you got to stop chasing money. You got to stop. I was like, no, but Sally Mae and college loans and this. And he was like, you're never going to get to where you're trying to get to if you keep chasing that bag. And then when I understood and I let it go, my life got wealthier and wealthier. And I started to really begin to like, I made some bread, but like there was things that you just can't buy and places I found myself in, rooms I found myself in. And I was like, money didn't get me here.
No.
It's like that mystical mountain thing we were talking about earlier. Like
exactly.
The magic of life.
That's the bottom line.
What has been the most important lesson you've learned so far professionally and personally? Like what's been that standout? It could be a number of lessons. It can be, but like, what's that thing that just like constantly resonates?
Oh, wow. That's such a profound question because the answer to that is evolving all the time and changing all the time. Most profound when you are working as a photographer, like for many of us, we don't see it as a job. It is part of your life. The biggest thing for me in my life and as a photographer is that I must always create personal work because it feeds my soul. It's like a way to share my feelings. That lesson for me is when things are up and when things are down, the personal projects keep you going. They inspire you. And many times for me, A personal project is about something that I'm going through.
Yep.
Like the first one, it was like the .com bust was going on. People probably don't even remember what that was.
Yeah,
but
on the Y2K and
the Y2K,
yeah,
all that stuff.
Yeah, the .com
Um,
boom and bust.
as before 9/11.
Yep.
And I was watching business after the 90s. The 90s were an amazing time. Everybody was working. Everybody's getting paid extremely well.
Yep.
And then after 9/11, that changed. So my book came out a month after 9/11. It's the worst timing for a book to come out. Worst timing. But that personal project kept me busy, gave me a lot of press at one of the worst times I can imagine.
Yeah.
So you have to have a personal project. So for me, that personal project, even though it was very, very hard, and all my books were hard to produce and put together, and all of them, at one point, I wanted to stop and not do it. Every single one.
I'm working on a book right now, and I'm at the halfway point,
That's when it hits you.
and I'm like,
That's the point when it hits you.
who cares about what it is I'm doing? And even though like I was super excited about the first, because this one's a series of short stories. I started my creative career as a writer, and then I jumped back into it. Like it's like God was just like, get back to this. You've lived enough life to write again. And I've been like Kermit at the keyboard. I've been like that. And then around like story 45, I'm like, who cares? And I don't think I should even be doing this. Am I even qualified to put this thing out? Like all these like, and then at the very last thing that was like, that means you have to finish.
Absolutely. Every single project I've had, personal project, it's like that. It's like you are tested to see if you are really meant to do that. I have what I'm working on now, and I'm in that same feeling. Oh, should I be doing this? Sepia Dreams was the same way, even more so because I'd never done a book before, ever. And people were saying, oh, you've never done a book before? You know it's really hard, right? You know you can't get a deal, right?
Yeah.
And you hear all these other voices telling you their fears.
Yes.
But those are their fears, they're not yours.
Yes.
They don't have your experience. They don't believe the way you believe.
Yeah.
And faith is really important.
Very.
And faith is not what you see and what you can see, it's what you can't see.
Yep.
And that's what keeps you going. For me, the biggest lesson in my life is to have faith when things around you seem like they're falling apart. That's been my biggest lesson in my career and in my life, to have faith.
Let's end it right there. Matthew, I can't tell you how, just give me a hug right quick.
No, thank you for that, man. Thank you for that.
This is how I wanted to start the year. I'm like, I take a couple of weeks to like, before I put out the next episode or what have you. Like I put one out, in December. But this is the perfect, like, wow, start the year off conversation. And I'll work the trains out or we'll figure it out or what have you. But like,
that's cool.
That is the message that everything you've been saying through this whole conversation is like, this is what it's all about. The faith.
I gotta tell you, it's funny because I was just reading this end of last year when it hit me like a sledgehammer about faith. If you're not doing some kind of work toward that, it's not faith. Faith comes with work.
Yeah.
So when I read that in the Bible, I was like,
yeah.
Oh. So you have faith about something and then you get to work on it.
Yes.
Because you've asked for something and you're having faith about it and you want this thing to happen, but then you go to do the work based on you having faith.
My friend Carlos, I had a conversation with him maybe a week ago. He said, my father used to say, God don't cut no wood.
That's right. You got to cut the wood.
You cut the wood. God will give you all the wood you need, but you got to do the work.
I love that.
I'm like, when I read it out, it just shook me to my core. Because like, I pray for things.
I'm gonna write that on my wall.
But you have to put the work in. You got to do the work. The doors will be there, but it's on you to move your feet. It's on you to even stumble and fail to success. Like, and success can be whatever it is you deem it to be. It's a moving point. It's evolving. So thank you.
Man, I'm just like seeing my mind because I was reading. I had never read the Bible.
Yeah.
For myself ever in my life.
Yep.
until last year. And last year I said, like around, I guess like February, March, I said, I want to read the Bible for myself. I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, it says this, it says that. I want to read it for myself.
Yep.
So I read it for myself, and it's the most groundbreaking book I've read in my life. Because it was speaking to me about things how I feel, things I didn't know that were in there, like relationships. I'm like, oh, it says that? Oh, it just spoke to me. And when I get to the part about faith, and I read that about, oh, faith without work is not faith. It's just like wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You have to, and I mean, I feel like I'm bringing Sam to the beach just saying this, but it's just like, you got to do the work. It's been so many
even
times
what you
where,
just said about, God don't chop no wood.
yeah,
Even as you said that, I'm like, I read this thing about how God was giving Noah the instruction on how to build the ark, what kind of wood to use. And I'm like, what kind of wood is that? So I looked it up online to figure out what kind of wood this is. And it's just so funny because the faith it took for Noah, I'm sure everybody's laughing at him, like, what are you doing? Putting an ark in the middle of this place,
Yeah.
Probably like a fool. Until the floods came.
yeah,
Until the rains came.
yeah.
Faith, even though you can't see it.
And that goes back to your personal projects, because with every personal project that I've had, I look crazy until it works.
Until it works.
Until like they come to the
Same.
opening, they're like, "Oh, this is what you meant." It's like,
Exactly.
But you
Because
gotta-
your friends around you.
yeah, and like you said, they're sharing their fears with you,
Fears.
and it's theirs. It has nothing to do with you. Remember, and this is no shot at any. Oh, it's my OG. She said I got asked to do some volunteer work in Haiti, and she was like, "What are you gonna do when they put a gun in your head and they say, 'Give me that camera'?" And I was like, "I don't know, give it to
They
them."
all put their fear on
And
you.
so then I called up the guy and I was like, "Hey man, I don't think I could do this." He was like, "Hey man, let's like a real talk." And then we talked it out. And then I went, and yes, it was hairy and it was dangerous, but I was protected.
You protect it.
And I got back safely. And I had a phenomenal trip. It wasn't easy, but like when she was like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know." If I never spoke to him, I probably would have dropped out of the project. And that was like 10 years ago. But
Isn't that crazy?
let's close it out. I'm gonna turn the mics off.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. This has been a gift, truly, to be able to have this conversation. It wasn't an interview. We were just kicking it. And so like to bond and have a connected conversation. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Oh, thank
sincerely.
you, man. Pleasure's been mine,
Yes.
brother. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you sent that message on Instagram. I'm so glad
Yeah.
that I saw it and that I responded to him like, who's this? all right, yeah, we'll take it. So
What the heck? And that's the thing. God don't chop no wood.
exactly.
Yeah, like,
God,
I shot
it does
my
not. That's
I
right.
got my shot. And then you said yeah. And then I was there in the lobby early. And then we made it happen.
I
You got
love
this
that.
from me.